Hi there. Here's the next of our customer stories, direct from the customer themselves.
Welcome, Bridgit English, to our customer experience story sharing. Thank you very much for joining us.
Oh, thank you, Laura. I'm excited and I'm looking forward to telling my story.
Fantastic. So I'm going to pass straight over to you. You tell us all about it.
No problem. I live in the country now, and my dogs used to go to a vet in Sydney, and I needed to get the meds for my dog. And I was traveling through to Sydney, so I put a call into the vet on the Wednesday morning before I left, and I said, I'm coming in, can I get the tablets? They said, sure, no problem. We will text you when the tablets are ready to be collected. Perfect. I got the text while I was driving into Sydney. I had an appointment. I was turning straight around to come back to home. When I arrived at the vet was closed, and there was a note on the door that just said, unfortunately, sorry, we are closed for a staff meeting. It's understandable, but it didn't have a time on it and said, please come back in 45 minutes. Well, I didn't know when 45 minutes was, and I had to go to my meeting and get back into the country. And so that was a bit disappointing, given they told me I could fetch it. And anyway, so when I got home, I then phoned them to say, well, would you mind mailing it to me? Now, I've done this before because obviously I said we live in the country. And so they said, sure, no problem. But they then said that we need to just calculate the postage, and they said it was $23. This is a tiny little box of tablets that doesn't weigh anything. And I said, well, hang on a second. Last time you mailed to me, it was $15, and now it's $23. I don't think Australia Post have put their rates up. And so they said, oh, no, it's our fees that have gone up. Look, my dog needs his meds, and so I accepted it, and I just got them to send it. But I'm really disappointed. You know, I spent thousands of dollars with that vet, and just my knowledge of the Net Promoter Score, to me, that's what I'd call bad profits, because I will be looking for somewhere else to get my meds from in future. So that's really the story in a nutshell, Laura.
So I heard two things. There was the visit to the vet with a back in 45 minutes, but you had no idea when the 45 minutes started. So you have just wasted all your time getting there. But then there's also the matter of a loyal customer who came all the way out there, you're inconvenienced, and they have now upped the fee for the postage, which doesn't really feel reasonable. But rather how I felt, tell us how this made you feel.
Well, as I say, disappointed. The head vet unfortunately wasn't there, because I actually asked to speak to him, because I was actually annoyed. But unfortunately he's away, and so I couldn't speak with him. And so I just felt like I was trapped in a corner. I could do nothing. My dog needed his meds, so I had to pay the $23. But I'm not entirely sure what $8 is going to do for them. But you know, so be it. Yeah, I'll find another vet.
But the $8 has peed you off sufficiently to have you consider another vet. So I love your point about bad revenue or bad profits. It's just not, is it really, the question to ask is it really worth upping your postage fees for in such a situation for such a loyal customer?
I've spent thousands and thousands of dollars with operations and, you know, annual visits, etc. So yeah, I'm not sure where $8 was going to get them, but anyway, that's the story in a nutshell.
Thank you so much for sharing. It's saddening to hear customers feeling trapped, because you almost feel like a hostage and you have no choice as to what you do. But actually you do have choice, and in most cases we all as customers have choice. So Bridgit, thanks so much for sharing your story with us today.
No problem. Thanks, Laura. Cheerio.
Well, another interesting story, Bridgit's story this time, and maybe we'll talk a little bit about what we saw there in terms of contributors. So the first one really must be that lack of proactive contact with Bridgit about her order. It's probably reasonable to expect that if she'd been advised about the order, she was going to pick it up that day, and making that drive to pick up the order and then finding that they had a staff meeting and the communication about that staff meeting not being that great. What about yourself? What did you see?
I think charging a loyal customer a random extra $8 or whatever the amount was doesn't seem reasonable, even though that might be their new fee. The loyal customer is driven all the way out there. You've inconvenienced the loyal customer, and then you whack them with an additional fee. So I found that really hurts, and I'm not sure whether the vet would have realized the impact that their decisions and their behaviours have on their customers, especially on very loyal customers. I do wonder if this team member who told Bridgit that she had to pay the extra amount of money has been told that's the rule, that's the policy, that's what we have to do, whether there's any room for personal decision making and customizing a little bit for the situation. It didn't seem that that was evident at all.
It reinforces for me something we've talked about a bit, which is every contact represents an opportunity to either build the relationship or do the opposite. Well, another great story. Thanks very much, Laura.
Thanks, Pete.